This is the Dynasty Roundtable podcast and YouTube show. Tonight, we are tackling a very serious topic, rookie picks, first round rookie picks. When is it okay to trade them? Who should you be trading them for? Matt Babich, this seems to be the topic that everybody wants to listen to. Everybody wants in on. Everybody wants to know what rookie picks are you trading away? Which players should you be targeting for said rookie picks? I don't know. We'll get into it tonight, but I was telling you before the show, and I hope this doesn't cause some people to just click away. It might. I don't know. It might not be what you want to hear, but I find this topic, let's just say, kind of frustrating, because
it's a way to start off the video.
Yeah,
this topic.
This is going to be a dumb video. This is going to be a dumb podcast, everybody. So this topic is stupid. It's stupid.
I think, Seth, we're going to look at it a different way. I'm going to challenge us.
Okay.
To make this topic a little bit more insightful, because I think we can do it.
All right. And we'll get into why I feel the way I do, and you can leave your comments in the chat, and I will get back to them. And yes, and it can glorious day. We can all be happy and merry and make good dynasty trades, hopefully. But Matt Babich, let me just ask you. Let's just jump right in.
Mm-hmm.
What is your overall arching strategy with rookie picks? Like, what are you doing this time of year with specifically your first round rookie picks? Are you putting them on the trade block? Are you targeting specific players? Are you holding them? What are you doing?
Well, first of all, I'm going to try and answer this, with my kind of strategical hierarchy, which is everything has a price. I am never going to hold an asset hostage, nor will I ever refuse to listen to offers on a particular asset. Someone wants to trade me 4 first-round picks for Jalen Hurts in a super flex league or whatever. Like, yeah, sure. All right, let's talk. Let's do it. Those trades don't happen often, but I'm certainly willing to listen. So I'm never withholding anything from the trade block. Secondly, as we know, if you're a newer dynasty manager, you may not know this yet, but there is a cycle of value for rookie picks. And intrinsically, right now, we are a month away from the draft. The combine is happening, pro day. There's so much anticipation. The demand for rookie picks is at its peak right about now, going into this season. We're starting to get more clarity on who's going to be a day 1, day 2, day 3 pick. We're starting to get a little bit of clarity on some landing spots on some particular situations. And we're starting to get really excited about rookies. Rookie drafts are coming up soon. Leagues are getting restarted. Dues are getting paid. So now is the time to be putting all of your rookie picks on the block. Just because you put them on the block does not mean you have to part with any of those assets. But every time you do not listen to an offer, or you say, I am not willing to hear out offers on the 101, you are just removing any sort of value that could be on the table for your pick. We're going to go into kind of who you would trade all of these picks for as some broad examples. The fact of the matter is, if you can get an elite difference maker quarterback in a super flex league for the 101, that is a trade-off you should be listening to. If you're at the back end of the first round and you're a competing team, and you can get away with some more win now assets that are a little bit more certain than a Matthew Golden, for example, you should be hearing out those offers. So right now is really the time to let, if you're a competitor, let some bad managers overspend on rookie picks. Because the realists, the real long-term dynasty managers are generally more realists, who are going to say, like, for every Brian Thomas Jr. at the mid to back end of the first round pick, there is a Keon Coleman, or there's a Jalen Reagor, or there's a Denzel. There's almost more busts to name in that range than super hits. So it's not to say we should be dismal on what is expected to be a good rookie class, but it's just this is the time where the demand is so high if you're even thinking about moving from your house, and the housing market is booming, you got to at least be able to feel out offers. You got to be talking to real estate agents, seeing what your property's worth. You got to get it appraised. You got to do your homework, because you can't leave money on the table, especially in dynasty fantasy football.
The reason I was so tongue-in-cheek about this topic is because I think it's pretty straightforward, but I also need to remind myself that not everybody feels the way that I do. So I will admit that. I'm old school. I've been playing Dynasty for a while now. I think this is my seventh or eighth year playing Dynasty. I don't have 30. I think I have close to 30 teams, 28, 29. I probably should know the specific answer. It's somewhere in that neighborhood. But anyway, my approach to this topic has always been this simple. And if you take away nothing else from this episode, I would take this away from it. What Matt said is absolutely correct. Right now, rookie picks, everybody has rookie fever. The build up to the draft, from free agency to the draft is a month and a half, give or take, but it's a long month and a half for people who are just starved for football attention. I mean, we see it on Twitter just about every day. So you, as a dynasty player, can use that feverish energy to your advantage. And you could be like a Floyd Mayweather counter puncher. You can take that energy and you can take those picks and you can turn them into proven commodities. That's what you should be doing. And the simple answer is, and why I was so tongue-in-cheek at the start, is why would I'm personally not trading, especially my first round pick, rookie pick, unless I just get the greatest offer out there, or an offer that fills a huge need on my team. And we'll get into more specifics. And I'll tell you this, because this class is not great at quarterback whatsoever, and some people are going to talk themselves into Cam Ward. Some people are going to talk themselves into Shedeur Sanders. That would be a mistake. That's my opinion. Because I believe that, I'm going to try to turn some of these rookie picks into quarterbacks, especially in a super flex league. So my answer to the question is, hold your rookie picks. Don't rush to trade them, which is why I maybe saying this topic is stupid was too strong, because it's not stupid. But on the other hand, I kind of think the cynical part of me, the dynasty manager that is kind of an old grump, thinks, why am I in a rush to trade these rookie picks? Like, why? I mean, I guess we're less than a month away, but some people are making these videos a month and a half, 2 months to the NFL draft. It's like, what are we doing, guys? Why are we in a rush to, trade these picks? Like, why are we making a video now? Like, these picks, as far as I know, are only going to get more valuable as we get to the NFL draft. Now, it is a little bit of a risk, I suppose. Maybe the NFL tells us this running back class isn't as good as we think on NFL draft night. I don't think so, based on all the information that's coming in. But why the rush, man? That's why I said I don't necessarily like this topic all that much, because of that. I don't know if the dynasty community is being responsible. I don't know if we're being responsible if we're telling people, oh, like, here's who you should trade your rookie pick for 2 months before the NFL draft. You know what I mean?
And I'll go back to my original comment on turning it into an insightful topic, because I agree with you there, but I don't think it's necessarily irresponsible or dumb. I think it's lazy, because
there you go. That's probably a better word.
Yeah. Or impatient, to kind of go off of what you're saying, because and it's the content space that's the problem, really, because that's what everyone wants. Like, no one wants to accept the fact that there is a lull in Dynasty where things just aren't gonna be as exciting. But we live in a world where, you know, I want my seasons to come out 10 episodes at a time so I can go all the way through them. And I want my TikToks to be 30 seconds long. I'm going to go through 2 hours of them because I need all this constant entertainment, something new all the time. And not to get too meta, but like I legitimately think that's part of the issue. But if we had a class, maybe even similar to last year, where, you know, the quarterbacks are solid, but outside of that, you know, we had Brock Bowers too as a pretty elite prospect, but the wide receiver class fell off pretty quick. Anything after a first round pick was nice, but doesn't really have the same palpability as it does with this class. Like, we're just so excited where all these players could go. Last year, it was more like, you know, Blake Corum, if he lands on a good spot, like, we're going to be really excited. So if we had a class that had all these potential landmines and we just look at the market and we say, you know, there's too many running backs for them to go into all, you know, good situations. If there were any warning signs to where we felt like we need to say, like, if you're at the back end of the first round, like, maybe it's time to get out before the draft comes, and now all of a sudden your pick is worth less. I don't think that happens a lot in Dynasty, to be honest. I don't think you're going to really ever see the 110, 111, 112 even decrease in value from now to a month from now, because for every faller, there is a riser. Jalen, people were hyped to I'm going to go back to him because I was one of them, but people were hyped to draft Jalen Reagor in 2020 or 20 in 2020,
including the Eagles.
and that was horrible, but people were willing to do it. People were excited to draft Keon Coleman in the first round or the early second round of rookie drafts. So there's always going to be somebody that people are there for. So I think you can have nuanced discussions about landing spots and what happens there, but at the end of the day, I agree where it's there really isn't that much of a reason to be going out and trading picks right now.
Yeah, but that doesn't, like you said, that doesn't make for good content. And if you can take, as I mentioned, the feverish energy and the impatience of some dynasty managers and use that against them in a Bruce Lee kung fu, channel your energy, you know, into my benefit, Floyd Mayweather counterpuncher, then that's exactly, I suppose, what we're trying to do tonight by presenting the case for trading your first round rookie picks away. And I'll just say this: if I'm going to trade my first round rookie pick away, I am aiming high. So all of these nominations by me and Matt are going to be maybe above where Keep Trade Cut has them, maybe above where you might have the rookie pick in your dynasty rankings. And I'm just going to say this right now: I don't care. That's what I'm going for. And I think if you combine that with, you know, it's possible. Like, you're not going to get, you know, Jamar Chase for the 101. Probably. I'm sure that in some leagues, maybe it's possible, but we're not going to go that high, but we're going to aim reasonably high. And with that being said, who do you have for the 101? Why don't we start with you?
For the 101, so we're obviously talking Ashton Genty here. It's only fair to shoot high when it comes to Ashton Genty. Like, you're certainly not going to be selling off Ashton Genty right now for lower than your dollar. So I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep.
I'm going with a truly elite asset, currently my RB1 in Dynasty. Just an absolute human joystick in terms of his elusiveness, his ability to win on the. I don't have to sit here and bore you guys about how good Jahmyr Gibbs is. He's incredible. And again, like, I think what the theme of what we're going to be saying here is, as we go along, is we're going to be trading for proven commodities that are a little bit above market price for our picks. That's what we're going to be looking to do. In the case of an Ashton Genty, you want to go young. You know, you want to get somebody who's going to be a long-term asset. So I think I would consider Bijan. It's a lot closer there, but Jahmyr Gibbs, if someone sent me Jahmyr Gibbs for the 101 straight up right now, I would take it.
Yeah, and I wrote down CeeDee Lamb, so I think we're about in the same ballpark. Maybe
they're back to back in my rankings.
Just on Keep Trade Cut, Jahmyr Gibbs is at 10, CeeDee's at 12. I also think, and hear me out here, I don't know if this is realistic or not because I don't know if it just kind of depends on how the Patrick Mahomes owner is feeling after this season. But I also wrote down Patrick Mahomes, and that would probably be my preferred target because when in any other year has Patrick Mahomes even been, and maybe he isn't, I don't know, let us know what you think in the comments. I think Patrick Mahomes is acquirable. I could be wrong, but I think the 101 in certain leagues could get the job done. And if I can get Patrick Mahomes for the 101 in a Superflex league, hell yeah.
Yeah,
I'm doing that every time.
He's probably the most acquirable that he's ever been at this point in his career. And you think about, Xavier Worthy he didn't have the worst year, but he didn't have the best freshman year. Kelsey's another year older. We are currently pre-draft too, so I'm assuming they're going to take a shot on somebody. Did Hollywood come back?
Yep, Hollywood's back
Hollywood
on a
came back.
1 year deal, and they
Rice.
get
There's some uncertainty
Rice
there.
Yep.
Obviously, we are very pro Rice, so I think, and again, like in terms of rankings and Superflex, I have Mahomes 3 spots above Gibbs and Lamb, who are back to back. So I echo your sentiments about Patrick Mahomes. So how about the 102, Omarion Hampton?
So all of these, just to let people know, all the players are according to Keep Trade, where Keep Trade Cut has them, just like in order. So it's not our rookie rankings. Like we're just going off of what Keep Trade Cut has. So at the 102, and I think this is kind of spicy, and I think this is very doable. I wrote down Caleb Williams, and we all know the troubles Caleb Williams had last year. The offensive line wasn't good, but also Caleb Williams wasn't good at times. He held onto the ball too long. He tried to do the miraculous plays that he was able to get away with at USC. And this year, though, he has a grown-up head coach, a head coach that was the top candidate on the market. I think if any team could have hired anybody, they would have picked Ben Johnson. Look at what Chicago did in free agency. I mean, talk about rebuilding the interior of your line. They got the top center in the free agent market. They traded for Joe Tooney. They traded for Jonah Jackson. And they also have the 10th overall pick, which could also be an offensive lineman potentially. So things are completely different in Chicago. I get it, Keenan Allen's gone, but they have more than enough with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. I think Caleb Williams is positioned to take that next step. Now, we're going to find out. I mean, it's kind of risky because we're going to find out everything that we need to know about Caleb Williams really this year, because if you can't get it done with an offensive-minded head coach like Ben Johnson and the offensive line that they are building for you, then it's probably not going to be looking great for Caleb Williams, and his value is going to go down. But I think it's a good bet to make because of the talent, because he was drafted number 1 overall. There's some insulation with his value there. And the fact that he's getting all of these upgrades around him. The 102 right now is Omarion Hampton, and I love Omarion Hampton. I think the comparison of Jonathan Taylor is a good one. That's what Player Profiler has for their best comparable player, and he's my 102, even in a super flex. But if I can get a quarterback in a super flex league for that 102 and Caleb Williams with that kind of upside, I mean, sign me up. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
In terms of my rankings, I certainly went a little bit for a more realistic trade from my sense, because I have Caleb Williams ranked 10th and Omarion Hampton 25th in my Superflex ranking. So safe to say I would take that in a heartbeat, because I still fully believe in Caleb Williams. That organization was a disaster, and the Bears did the right thing and said, we are getting rid of every toxic member of this building immediately and surrounding Caleb Williams with a completely different staff to support him. I mean, excuse me, these rookies can withstand, a year or, maybe even a little bit over a year. But in terms of coaching, if you don't surround them with the right core in year 2, it's basically done. So I think they're doing the right thing there with Caleb Williams. And I mean, truth be told, if I'm sorry, but if Ben Johnson can make Jared Goff work, I'm pretty confident he can make Caleb Williams work. So I think that'll do it.
Yeah.
I'd say that'll do it. Yeah,
And
I
the
think that'll
fact
do it.
and the
That'll do
fact
it.
that he had his pick of the litter in terms of jobs. I mean, he could have gone to Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure that one was on the table. Nope, I want to go to Chicago. So,
But I chose for my pick here, I chose Kyler Murray. So a little bit wishy-washy there. So he's a little bit higher in my rankings. So I think I would have to stare at this a long time. My microphone audio continues to randomly jump up on me. But Marion Hampton, you got, in my eyes, a rock solid RB candidate. Again, I echo the sentiment that I think Jonathan Taylor is a good comp stylistically and from a size, speed, athleticism perspective. That being said, I've been in the spot in Superflex leagues where I am devoid of a quarterback, and it is not a good spot to be in. Going up against a matchup when you have like a Jalen Hurts versus a Baker Mayfield, and you have no rock solid quarterback, maybe rolling out like Bryce Young and Sam Darnold or something like that. Darnold was good last year, but you get my point. It's a tough situation to be in. So if you can get a starting quarterback, and I know there's always some controversy around Kyler Murray, and uh, that being said, we kind of went over his stats, and he's still consistently, a QB1 in fantasy football, and he's my QB11 in Dynasty right now, which seems pretty fair based off of his age and previous production. So got a young core there in Arizona. You got to think that it's around his floor with what we've seen and historically. So I like Kyler Murray. It's a little bit closer to me than some of these other choices have been when it comes to trading him away. But if I am without a quarterback, I feel like that's a pretty good move to take. I would also throw Bo Nix or Justin Herbert into the ring there, as they're in the same tier as Kyler Murray for me.
yeah, I think I would agree too. I just for full transparency, Kyler Murray was one of my answers at the 103, so we're pretty much in lockstep there. Um, so yeah, but my answer for the 103, just jumping ahead, is JJ McCarthy, and I understand that there's some some uncertainty there with JJ McCarthy, but similarly to Ben Johnson, Kevin O'Connell can make chicken salad out of you know what, and what he was able to do with Sam Darnold this year was absolutely incredible. And they ran out of gas at the end of the season. I have to believe if JJ McCarthy is 100% healthy, he's 22 years old, he's going to be in an offense with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson, Kevin O'Connell as the head coach calling plays. Actually, I'll just say this. I think he is a better situation than Caleb Williams entering this year. As I know, technically a second year player, hasn't really played at all, but JJ McCarthy for the 103. I mean, you're sensing a theme here. Like, if I'm going to trade away my rookie picks right now, and we talked about it at the beginning of the show, we're going to aim high, and we're going to aim for positional value. If somebody is willing to trade away a quarterback right now for a rookie pick, that's one of that's going to be a theme throughout this show. Is the position we're targeting in the Superflex League is quarterback. So JJ McCarthy makes a ton of sense, and honestly, like the 102 for JJ McCarthy, McCarthy would be up there too in consideration for the 102 as well. Matt, who did you nominate for the 103 or comment on McCarthy?
Before I get to that, I think it's just an interesting thing with the 103 being Cam Ward. So you picked JJ McCarthy, and I don't know where he's at in your rankings, but he is still above Cam Ward for mine, but he's also below like 4 or 5 more rookies. Maybe not 4 or 5. But Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, all ahead of all those names, yet Cam Ward is the 103, which begs the question, is the 103 the pick to be putting on the block right now if people are trying to jump up and get Cam Ward? Because I don't think my opinion on Cam Ward has not changed. I don't know about yours, but yet he has climbed up these consensus rankings. I don't know why. I don't know what has developed. These situations haven't changed. Tennessee and Cleveland are both still not great landing spots to go to. So I would absolutely trade JJ McCarthy for Cam Ward. I mean, in a literal heartbeat, it wouldn't even be something I have to think about. I went a different route. I actually, with a quarterback, I flipped and went receiver. So if you're a QB rich team and you're staring down the barrel of Cam Ward being the consensus, top pick there, and someone wants to come up and go get him, I'd be willing to take a shot on guys like Jalen Waddle and even fellow rookie Matthew Golden. So I would trade down in the first round and to get another pick from the 103. So that's kind of a cop-out answer, but I'm going to give it. And then with Jalen Waddle, stepping into
just to
no,
clarify,
go ahead.
Just to clarify, like you could, this is a trade down situation, right? Like you're getting, because you could get a hell of a lot more than Jalen Waddle for the 103, in my opinion. Like just the way things are right now, like you could probably get, and you tell me if I'm wrong in chat. Let us know. I think you could get like the 201, the 112 on top of Jalen Waddle for the 103. I think that's possible.
Yeah, in a situation like
people are
Jalen Waddle,
so
I'm
down on
something else on top of it, but it obviously won't be a first round pick.
Yeah. Or at the very least, a late, first round pick. Because people,
maybe a 2026, 2027 first round pick, something like that.
There are some people out there that are just done with Jalen Waddle, and I understand the frustration, but like these are the moments in Dynasty where if a player, especially one where he's in a good system, Tyreek Hill, his best playing days might be behind him. Who knows what's going to happen there? I mean, this season could be a really good season for Jalen Waddle. I think he's teed up pretty well. So just so nobody's like, how could you possibly trade the 103 for Jalen Waddle? I don't think that's what Matt is saying. The 104, we have the exact same player. So
I
didn't
realize that, but I think it's a great answer for it.
Tet McMillan is the 104 according to Keep Trade Cut.
Take it away. I'll give a different answer.
No, we can have the same answer. It's fine. Roma Dunze. It's very similar to the Caleb Williams take, because you look at what Ben Johnson has done for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams this past year. And Roma Dunze, I'll just say this as a Bears fan, I think Roma Dunze is going to be the wide receiver 1 in Chicago this year. And because he fits what he's a much more versatile wide receiver than DJ Moore. Sure, DJ Moore is great after the catch with the ball in his hands, but in terms of being a precise route runner and being able to do multiple things, lining up outside, inside, like Roma Dunze is a much more versatile player and a purer wide receiver than DJ Moore.
Absolutely.
So he is going to be the wide receiver 1 in Chicago sooner rather than later. And I think that starts this year. So the 104, Tet McMillan, a lot of people like him. I understand. But I think we're getting a more polished player in Roma Dunze. And I would...
in a better offense, in a better situation.
In a better offense, because you start to look at some of the landing spots, and some of the buzz is really picking up that Tet McMillan won't even be the first wide receiver off the board. I don't happen to believe that.
I don't either.
But
unless it's Hunter.
Hunter. But I have a hard time believing Tet McMillan falls out of the top 10, and if that's the case, there's a lot of bad landing spots for him to go in the top 10. So
I don't like Vegas. Like, it could happen. I don't like going to Geno with Brock Bowers, and I don't think
Jacoby Myers is there too. I mean, I know people are going to scoff at that, but Jacoby Myers is a good player.
He gets open, man. He's a good player.
No.
There's a reason he's been like a perennial top 40 wide receiver in fantasy points per game for like the last 4 or 5 years. He is good at football.
Yeah, so I love the Roma Dunze call by both of us. You want to comment on that or move to the 105?
No, I think the only thing I wanted to add there was the situation. I mean, being tethered to Caleb last year, Shane Fraudrin had one of the worst route trees for Odunze that I've ever seen. So I do expect a Jackson Smith and Jigby year 2 rise for Rome Odunze, who's going to be, essentially freed being in an actual offense. And just think about, he's obviously not Jameson Williams, but like just think about the ways that he was able to get like Jameson Williams into space, or Amon-Ra St. Brown, like being the target magnet, still finding open lanes that like he's going to work his magic, and Rome Odunze is going to be the best fit to kind of captain that offense.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a match made in heaven with Ben Johnson. At the 105, which at the 105, according to Keep Trade Cut, this kind of hurts me a little bit, is Trevion Henderson. But I still nominated Jonathan Taylor. And the reason why I nominated Jonathan Taylor is, if you've listened to this show, we aren't the biggest Jonathan Taylor fans. He's 26 years old. He's dealt with injuries, especially ankle injuries, over the past seasons. But Jonathan Taylor, now that the Colts, if you think about this Indianapolis Colts situation for fantasy football, Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, like, that could be good for Jonathan Taylor, because those are both mobile quarterbacks. Those are both guys that, in Daniel Jones's case, is good enough with his arm. Anthony Richardson, I have a feeling they want Anthony Richardson to be the guy. That's why they didn't bring in Justin Fields or like some other name, I guess. I guess there wasn't much out there. But Jonathan Taylor, I think, still has a lot left in the tank. And for the 105, and even Trevion Henderson, in my world, Trevion Henderson's gone long before this, probably at the 103 or 104. So yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor would be a home run here if you're able to trade him for the 105. Matt, who do you have?
Yeah, love that call. I have Taylor one spot above Henderson in my rankings, and did notice that I wanted to go Taylor here and that you had Taylor. So I went one spot above him and went with Nico Collins. So fell a little bit in my rankings after a bit of a sophomore slump in Houston. But again, I've said it a lot on this program, where you see a rookie year like he had his rookie year, and then he falls and has somewhat of a sophomore slump. We've seen the extremes. And it's generally, when I see something like that with what happened in Houston last year, I don't immediately think, well, that's it. That was a one year blip. They'll get back to being a good offense. They still have Joe Mixon. They're figuring out their receiving core. They got Christian Kirk in the building. They're probably not done there. They have, and Nico Collins is just a true alpha. He's an alpha's alpha in the way, his build, his size, speed combination. He is just a true threat. We saw what he could do last year in fantasy, and I don't know how attainable this is. I feel like Nico Collins still carries a lot of name value from what he was able to do last year for fantasy managers. So I don't know if you could pull this off. But again, the theme of the show is we're selling high on these rookie picks right now, as we should be. So, aside from Jonathan Taylor, like, I think Nico Collins is another great name there.
Yeah, I think it's a bit ambitious, but
100% it is.
Like, you could, it doesn't hurt to try to send these.
Henderson's also my 28th ranked player. So it's like, how, it's
wow.
I like Henderson a lot. So you're going to have to convince me to give me something pretty convincing to let go of him right now.
Yeah. At the 106, we have Quinshon Judkins, and we are both going to Kansas City for this pick. I'll throw it to you. Who is your player?
Yeah, Xavier Worthy. Oh, I just spoiled yours. I was going to say you had an interesting pick there, but I have Rashee Rice. So Quinshon Judkins is 34 in my player rankings, and Rashee Rice is 31. So again, I'm very high on this class of running backs, especially the cream of the crop. I think they're all incredibly talented and have starter level talent in the NFL. That being said, if I can get a truly elite asset in Rashee Rice and what we've been able to see with his role in Kansas City, if I can get my hands on that and get another share of Rashee Rice for Quinshon Judkins, I would be chomping at the bit. And just personally, before you get into it, I know I've already spoiled it, so I'll take all the fun out of it. I got Worthy way down there and would take Quinshon Judkins over Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I think that Xavier Worthy's going to have a decent. I mean, it's going to be so interesting to see what happens once Rashee Rice comes back, because if you look at his snap share, really things started to click into place for Xavier Worthy week 14 of the season. It was that week where he never saw a snap share below 80%. Before that, he never saw a snap share above 80%. So they really started to trust him, and I am pro Xavier Worthy because it's kind of a hedge against Rashee Rice. I like them both in this Kansas City offense because I think just kind of look at what the Chiefs have. They've lost some pieces. I don't know if their defense is going to be as good as it was last season. I think they've lost some depth there. Mm-hmm. So I think that's pretty enticing for fantasy football. And come on, like they have Hollywood Brown, they have Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. Who knows what they do in the draft? Let's make this Kansas City offense great again. Like with all these pieces, I think that they could, and the fact that the defense being heavily reliant on that blitz, and they have a great defensive coordinator, so they're probably still going to be a pretty good defense. But I think it's going to take a step back. And so I think targeting these Kansas City wide receivers, again, could I get something else on top of Xavier Worthy for the 106? Maybe, but I think it's about right. And so, yeah, I like Xavier Worthy for the 106. At the 107, I'm going to nominate Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker, we talked about Kenneth Walker on a previous show. He's one of my favorite buys in Dynasty because of the offensive coordinator there. And if you look at, and for some reason I'm spacing on the name, but he was the offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, right? Clint Kubiak is the offensive coordinator in Seattle. And you trace his time as an offensive coordinator back, the running backs have been bell cow running backs, and Kenneth Walker is built to be a bell cow running back. I'm sorry, Zach Charbonnet, but it's just not going to be your year as long as Kenneth Walker stays healthy, which, again, that's a concern. But the 107, you're kind of missing out on the elite tier of running backs, probably. And Kenneth Walker's a great option here. And I think it's doable. So Kenneth Walker for me. What about you?
Man, I mean, if that's doable, I really got to maybe sell some of my rookie picks. I'm going to be honest with you, because again, I haven't checked like Keep Trade Cut to see like where all of my takes fall, but massive ranking discrepancy there for me. 40 for Kenneth Walker, player overall, RB13, and Mick Egbuka, player 72. So yet another trade that I would instantly accept. I love Kenneth Walker, also one of my favorite buys in fantasy football land. For me, I'm going to go back to the quarterback. Based on my rankings, I think this would be a perfect opportunity to try and get JJ McCarthy on my roster. Egbuka is a guy I really love. I think he's an incredible talent. He fits so well into an NFL, I mean, really any NFL offense. He's a true pro receiver in terms of the way he can be utilized all over the field. You can bring him in and have him block. Not a lot of guys can do that, but Egbuka can, and he can do it right out of school. So I'm going to need to get a really beneficial piece to my roster. And an area of my rankings where I feel like there's a little bit of a dead spot in running back. He's kind of at the near top of a tier in receivers for me. I think this is the perfect opportunity for me to try and go get JJ McCarthy on my roster.
So you're a lot lower on JJ McCarthy than I am, because as you know,
he was my so, but I think he's gonna. Yeah. I think he's got to move up quick.
He was, because I nominated him at the 103. Yeah, if you could get him for the 107, I would do that, obviously, because I'm willing to trade the 103 for him. But I think, again, you probably have to, more likely like the 107, and like
You're
if
not
you
getting the 107 for Kenneth Walker. I'll tell you that.
I think it's more likely that I get Kenneth
It's
Walker
more
for the
likely than
107.
JJ McCarthy. I'll give you that.
Yeah. But I do think there's a world out there where, yeah, I'm telling you, I've heard this in the chat. I've heard it in the comments. People are worried about the injuries with Kenneth Walker, and I don't get it. I really don't get it. Because he actually isn't that injury prone if
He's
you
been
really
missing a
look at
couple
it.
games a year.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not. I'm not worried about it really at all. 108 is Tyler Warren. I nominated Zay Flowers, and I understand Zay Flowers. For some people, I think this might be a player they're a little bit jaded by, and I think that the feeling is, I can understand the feeling, but I don't know if you should be. Even though back-to-back seasons in the 30s in fantasy points per game, I'll admit Zay Flowers is probably better in a best ball league just because he delivers some spike weeks. I'm looking at it right now. Wide receiver 6 week, wide receiver 3 week, but he's also a victim of what the Ravens do on offense, and the Ravens don't throw the ball. Like the Ravens run the ball because they have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and that's not going to change. So this is a bet on Zay Flowers' talent, and eventually, I believe that the Ravens are going to throw a little bit more once Derrick Henry is no more. We shall see. They're always going to be a run-heavy team, but I mean, last year was a bit ridiculous, and for good reason because obviously Derrick Henry had a monster season. But Zay Flowers is a talented player in a good offense. I get it. The target share isn't there. I get it. He hasn't really popped the way we want him to. But it only takes a season where he gets 9 or 10 touchdowns instead of 4 or 5. And in this scenario, I'm trading Tyler Warren, who I'm not really sold on this tight end class. It's like an elite tight end class, like some people think. I'm just not there. So I'd happily trade Tyler Warren for Zay Flowers. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And as well, to expand on it, how about, or to give mine, I guess, but Chuba Hubbard. Ranked pretty similarly in keep trade cut from what I just noticed. I have him, quite a few spots ahead of Tyler Warren in my ranking. So again, echoing your sentiments on the tight end class, like I'm not completely sold that Tyler Warren's going to be this game changer. And if you're not a game changer at the tight end position, history shows you are less valuable than a running back or a receiver that's within the top 24 in fantasy points per game, maybe even the top 30. So Chuba Hubbard, after the signing of Rico Dowdle, is set to be a starting running back for at least another year. Jonathan Brooks, this is his knee recovery is not looking good. There's just a whole mess of things going on there. So Chuba Hubbard, I would borderline trade it for one elite year, or one starter year of Chuba Hubbard, who was very good for fantasy football purposes last year. I can get out of the back of the first round where I'm staring down the barrel of Tyler Warren, Shadur Sanders, Hunter Burden Golden, and I can get, a running back that's above this next crop of running backs that can give me 1 to 2 years of production as I chase a championship. I think that's beneficial for me.
Not worried about Rico Dowdle at all, are you? No?
No, I mean, he's good. He's pretty good, but he's not.
Yeah.
It took him like 11 weeks of being a starter to get to 100 yards.
Yeah, I this might be a hot take, but I think you might be able to get Chuba Hubbard for an early second round pick, but I don't know. I would push it a little bit further than that, to be honest with you.
No,
But
I'm
yeah,
trying to freaking make
this is
something out of absolutely nothing here, trying to
this is
come up with trying to sum up one single player that I would trade for some of these rookies. When
yeah.
the whole concept of markets and values and trade values is so nuanced. But
Yeah.
yes,
No,
I understand what you're saying.
the 109 in our scenario is Shadur Sanders, and I'll keep this very quick. I do not believe in Shadur Sanders. I think Shadur Sanders is going to be a bad NFL quarterback, and I think he's going to fall in the NFL draft. I would trade him in a heartbeat for Dak Prescott. And I think Dak Prescott is another one of these guys that people have soured on. And I think it's possible that you could get him at a discount. He's still just 31 years old. He's a capable quarterback. I mean, some team, if it's not the Cowboys, I know that there were the ridiculous rumors that the Browns won. I don't even know who that clown was, but he was saying the Browns were going to trade for him, and who knows, maybe they prove me wrong, but I'll believe it when I see it. Dak Prescott still has CeeDee Lamb to throw the ball to, and the rumors are that they might be drafting either Luther Burden or Matthew Golden at with their first round pick. And if that happens, it's really wheels up for Dak Prescott. But I mean, he's in a good situation regardless. So in a world where I'm targeting key pivotal positions, as we've mentioned, quarterback here, trading a quarterback for a quarterback, the 109. I'm all in on this one.
I'll go quarterback as well. I'm starting to try and look at kind of keep trade cut to see if I can get at least some sort of gauge of what might be realistic. But how about Trevor Lawrence, ranked right above Shadur Sanders in keep trade
one.
cut, ranked well above Shadur Sanders in my rankings. So good supporting cast. What I am going to assume is a good coach versus unknown situation, unknown talent. I know Trevor Lawrence could get some heat based on how he's played for the last 2 years, but in spite of what he's been dealing with, his performances haven't been atrocious. A true bust of a quarterback would have folded much harder under these circumstances that Trevor Lawrence was given, but he managed to win a freaking playoff game. Coming back from what was it, like 38-0 or something ridiculous against Los Angeles?
Was that this year?
No, it was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
It was like the Jaguars are.
No, it was a while ago, but he won a playoff game as a quarterback. That is something that Justin Herbert cannot say.
Beat Justin Herbert. So
yeah, so I mean, he has that under his belt. I think he's got a great supporting cast, and so absolutely, I would do that in a heartbeat.
At the 110, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is the most polarizing rookie in this draft because for fantasy football, and we've been on the record saying this, I think some people have hopped on this bandwagon because I've heard this take. We were saying this back when, we started our Dynasty rankings with Travis Hunter as our second overall player because at least my point of view was I have to believe that nobody knows anything. We still don't know, really. I have to believe that the talent is going to win out at the end of the day, and I'm going to treat it as though he is going to play wide receiver. Now, I've lowered him in my rankings, and I think that this is a more realistic spot that he actually goes in your rookie draft, even though he's going to get top 5 draft capital. With that being said, this is like the 110. So I think it's very reasonable. And again, I'm targeting the quarterback position. If you need a quarterback, you could do a hell of a lot worse than Tua. And I get it. The concussions, the injuries are a concern, but he's with Mike McDaniel. They still have Tyreek Hill for now. Jalen Waddle, one of the better wide receiver duos in the NFL. And I just trust that offense to score some points. And Tua is like, if Tua is your quarterback too, you are happy with that. And if I can trade a back, the 110 in this case, you were just short of the playoffs or just short of the championship game, rather. Adding a quarterback if you need one, this is like the perfect, I think, one of the more perfect trades you can make. But who's your nominee? What do you think, Mr. Babbage?
It's just such an impossible question for me to answer, if I'm being honest, because if he's truly a full-time wide receiver, like he's not the 110.
Yeah, but
we're not going to know if he's a full-time wide receiver until after you have to make that choice.
Yeah, he's
So it's like I wouldn't trade the one. I literally wouldn't trade the 110 for anything. And by anything, I mean anything that another owner would be like realistically like willing to offer me. I wouldn't take
it. Yeah,
anything realistic for
but
Travis Hunter
this,
at the 110
yeah,
if I knew he was going to be a full-time wide receiver.
and this might be a problem with us putting names on these picks because the name kind of takes over. Like
But
the name is just to kind of give people, okay,
I know
this is the general idea of
I was
who's
gonna
gonna
work. I was
go
gonna work
here.
my way there.
Yeah.
I think Tua is a great answer, probably the proper answer there. What about Sam Darnold? I feel like
Oh boy.
it's a similar. I
Oh
mean,
boy.
you're gonna tell me that
Yeah.
Tua is miles ahead of Sam Darnold in terms of pros and cons.
Uh, I mean, God, I mean, Tua is at least.
Tua's
I'm
what? What was Tua that outstanding last year with his declining supporting cast?
No, he wasn't fantastic, but Sam Darnold, at least we haven't had him play to the level or to the depths of what we've seen from Sam Darnold. And I get it, Sam Darnold was in a god awful situation in with the Jets, but like that's the floor, and there's just not as deep of a floor with Tua. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. If I feel like if you're willing to trade a first round pick for Tua, which I'm not in a super flex league, then you would have to be willing to trade one for Sam Darnold as well, which I also don't think I'd be willing to do. Like I think Dak is a good answer here, to be honest.
well, yeah, that's what I said. Dak, the pick before.
I know. Like I think
Yeah.
I personally think Tua and Sam are way below.
Well, okay. Well,
Way
then
below
your
Dak.
answer
My
your
answer's
answer
Dak.
should be Dak.
My
Yeah,
answer's
there
Dak.
you go.
I wanted to see what you thought about Sam Darnold because I have Sam higher than Tua in my ranking. So I wanted to.
Oh my God! Wow,
He's
Sam Darnold.
QB 26 versus QB 27.
Don't tell Mike from South Harmon. He might strangle you.
They both aren't that good, but they're both going to be starters. Like I don't know what to tell you. They're both mid at best.
They'd probably, the South Harmon crew would probably just say F it and go after Justin Fields if that's the case. Which I think we've learned our lesson about Justin Fields.
If push games to shove.
Everybody out there, just write this down right now. Justin Fields is going to play 12 games for the Jets. He's going to get hurt, and he's not going to be there when you need him to be there the most for your fantasy team. So just know that going in, all right? I'm telling you now, you'll thank me later. Let's move to the 111, and this is Luther Burden, and this is so interesting because I actually wrote down the rookie picks, wrote down the player I would trade for the rookie pick, and then filled in. Then I was like, let's see what keep trade cut, what order keep trade cut would have these guys in. Luther Burden is a very Jalen Waddle like player, and that's my pick here at the 111. And before you scoff, because I know you mentioned Jalen Waddle earlier in like a trade down situation.
I'm not scoffing at anything.
I think people are very jaded toward Jalen Waddle. I do. And I think this is on the table. And like, I think the situation is a little bit better than people are thinking it's going to be, because there's just a bunch of weirdness around Tyreek Hill. I haven't, to be candid, I haven't heard a lick of news around Tyreek Hill. I know he said something about retiring like 2 years ago. This would be the time's up, as far as I know, from when he said that, but it doesn't look like he's going to retire. So who knows? But we do know that Tyreek Hill is past the 30-year-old mark. So we'll see how much athleticism he has left. He's coming off of a down year. Jalen Waddle could be stepping into a really good situation here. I think this is possible. And I know Luther Burden, I think Luther Burden's going to go a hell of a lot higher than this. I think Keep Trade Cut has this wrong. I think Luther Burden would go ahead of Tyler Warren, Shedeur Sanders, potentially ahead of Emeka Egbuka. I know you don't agree with that, but I think I think Luther Burden would be more like the 106, 107, 108 in a super flex league. So you throw the rookie player in there, it's a little bit trickier, but I think Jalen Waddle's a good answer here.
I like Brandon Ayuk. Situation has gotten his value to go down, but he was also wide receiver 18, 23, and 16 in 3 out of his 5 career seasons. Debo is gone. That opens up more targets for Brandon Ayuk. There is some controversy as to whether or not he's going to get paid by San Francisco. So there are also a lot of mouths there. There's Ricky Pearsall, there's Juwan Jennings, there's George Kittle, who is good, albeit aging. So even if he gets traded, that's even more beneficial for Brandon Ayuk getting into a situation with more targets. I don't think he'll get Deontay Johnson. I think there's a lot more value behind Brandon Ayuk's name at this point in his career. So I think things turn around there. And I'm betting on somebody who's done it before and is a little bit more of a complete player. I think Luther Burden does have a little bit of a ceiling cap based on his archetype. And because of that, I'm willing to take a shot on Ayuk with a career turnaround.
Now remember, Mr. Babbage, Brandon Ayuk did sign a 4-year, $120 million
Oh,
deal
he
with the
did sign an
Niners.
extension. Was that
Yep.
trade? What's the trade rumors I'm seeing about then?
I don't know.
Because I
Talking.
remember distinctly what I saw had like the pay involved in it. So I don't know if they want to get out of this contract. I don't know.
Maybe,
But I did see a
that would.
report of trade rumors that was circled around freeing up. Oh, I'm sorry. It was having to do with new deals for Kittle and Juwan Jennings.
Oh,
That was the context around the salaries for the trade rumors. But regardless, there is trade rumors circling Brandon Ayuk. Thank you for that reminder.
yeah, that's what I'm here for. I mean, Brandon Ayuk been largely another player people are probably jaded on. I think yeah, I know he's coming off of a torn ACL. I think some people get him pretty cheap, I think. But anyway, 112. This is interesting. The 112 in a class where I do not believe in the tight end position as much as some other people. Why not? I mean, TJ Hawkinson, come on down. Maybe I'm overshooting here. It's possible. Maybe I don't need to give up the 112 for TJ Hawkinson, but I think JJ McCarthy's going to be good. I've already said that in this episode. TJ Hawkinson before this year was a top 5. Lock it in. Don't even worry about it. Tight end. He was the tight end 4 in fantasy points per game in 2022, tight end 2 in fantasy points per game in 2023. And the kicker is he's just 27 years old. And last year he was dealing with a torn ACL. He had another surgery on that in the preseason, from what I'm seeing here. And he wasn't 100% ready to go. And it was very clear that the Vikings were easing him in. Well, he's going to be 100% healthy this year. And it's going to be go time. And we know tight ends, the age apex is a little bit later. It's closer to age 30. So give me TJ Hawkinson, Matt Babbage. Who are you nominating here?
Yeah, this one's interesting. I feel like Matthew Golden is the 112 especially is just kind of in an interesting land where I would really much rather have the pick than a lot of the surrounding assets. This is another pick where I kind of want to be ambitious on. I like where you're going. I do feel like you can get away with getting a little less for TJ or getting maybe like a 3rd round pick back, something to even the scales a little bit, but I like the thesis of where you're going there. So I'm going to go with a little ambition here, and I'm also going to go a little old. If I'm at the 112, probably earned that pick. I'm probably a champion with a good squad. Give me 2 to 3 more years of elite Chris Godwin instead of a potential bust wide receiver in Matthew Golden. I'm not saying that that's what I think. I like Matthew Golden a lot, but give me Chris Godwin in this Tampa Bay offense for 2 to 3 more years.
I think that's a really good call. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about Chris Godwin, because Chris Godwin, God, why did they play him in that stupid game where they were getting blown out? Weren't they getting like just demolished and then he
Destroyed.
dislocated?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dislocated his ankle in week 7. It's not a torn ACL. He should be back 100%. I think. I honestly I haven't seen any updates. I'm assuming he'll be back. But remember, this is such a great call for somebody like he was like the first 2 weeks of the season for him were incredible. He had 2 top 10 finishes, and then in week 6 he was the wide receiver 1 overall. He didn't have a week where he scored less than 11 fantasy points. He was very clearly outperforming Mike Evans, and I know Liam Cohen's gone from that offense, so that might affect things. But I don't like if they re-signed him, you would think that, oh my God, Chris Godwin's amazing in the slot. Let's give him a bunch of money and let's move him outside. Like, no, that's not what you're doing. Like, you're keeping him in the slot. You're keeping him where he was productive. So I think that's I especially at the 112 with the context that you're the champion. I love that call. That we did it, man. We did it. Even though I thought this was a dumb topic at the top, I think I actually kind of enjoyed that more than I thought I would.
Go.
So
we did it.
So we did it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know who you would select at each pick. I want to see them all. I want to see, or not select, but trade for. Who would you trade? Who would your trade target be at each pick selection? Let us know how dumb we are. Let us know how smart we are. Actually, just let us know how smart we are. That would be preferred. Click like, click subscribe. Matt Babich, any final words before we get out of here?
Men's March Madness Sweet 16 this weekend. Boiler up, baby. Let's go Purdue.
Oh, boy. My Hawkeyes never had a shot. Iowa State's out of it, so damn it. But anyway, nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers. We know for sure. That's the 101 of all sayings. We're going to get it on a t-shirt. We're going to be at the expo. Actually, I don't know. I haven't talked to you about that yet.
I will not be at the
wouldn't
expo,
it be cool?
Unfortunately, but
wouldn't it be cool if maybe next year? Wouldn't it be cool if I'm just walking around the expo with nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers? Probably it wouldn't.
I feel like we can't sell that shirt. We're going to probably get in trouble.
You think? Why would we get in trouble?
We can't make money off of Aaron Rodgers' name and likeness.
Well, we wouldn't sell it. I'd just be wearing it.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I say we can make them and wear it, but we couldn't make them and sell them unless we like misspelled Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, there we go. See, now we're thinking like a true capitalist.
ERINROGERS. Leave out the D and then change the first name.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll be walking around the expo with nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers, and everybody will be like, "Who's that guy? Why is he wearing a weird T-shirt?" Anyway, we'll see you next time, everybody. Have a great night, day, morning, whatever day or time you're living in. Have a great part of it, and we will see you later. Bye-bye, everybody.